What's happening, everybody? It's your boy. Yep, I'm back. We are live on Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, and I am excited for another powerful podcast with my family. Listen, shout out to everybody wherever you are in the world, whether it's early morning, late afternoon, or late evening, lunchtime, dinner time, supper time. It doesn't matter. I'm just glad you're rolling with your boy today. Listen, we live right now on onevoiceradio.com. Listen, call somebody, text somebody, tell somebody that Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette is on the air right now. And we have another powerful podcast for you guys on today. I can't wait for the revealing of this particular podcast. When I say I'm excited, I'm excited. Listen, guys, we have a whole bunch of things that's going on in the world today, but I wanted to do a podcast that kind of helps with some of the things that we're dealing with, right? So before I get into the title, let me go ahead and shout out my sponsor for today, and that's hotshotmall.com. Hotshotmall.com. Listen, go to hotshotmall.com and get all of your wonderful and great products. Listen, it is building to a place I've never seen it before. I'm happy and have the opportunity that Hotshot Mall has sponsored this particular podcast, so I'm excited about that. I'm also asking and requesting all of our people that's listening in, wherever you go to hotshotmall.com. Go there. Matter of fact, look at the trendy section. Go to the trendy section and look at some of the incredible things that's there on the trendy section. So shout out to hotshotmall.com. Thank you guys so very much over there for actually sponsoring this particular podcast. So thank you so much. To all of our guests, you guys know what it is. Y'all know we're on every single, I won't say every single, but we're on a lot of the actual social medias, from Facebook to Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. What else I'm missing? Oh, of course, and the YouTube channel. Listen, guys, please go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and you'll be able to see some of these crazy faces, I guess I would say, that I make as I'm doing the podcast and making sure we have everything that we need to make sure we're moving forward. All right. So listen, make sure you do that. Subscribe, share, text, tell, call, tweet, whatever it is, somebody to make sure that they're subscribing with us. You can also go to Let's Talk with StanleyDoucette.com. There you get all of the previous podcasts that we were able to record, all of our guests. We have more guests coming. Don't worry, relax. I know some of y'all like, what a guest, what a guest. They're coming. Believe me, it's okay. But we just wanted to share that with you. So go there. If you want to hit the show up directly, go to Let's Talk with Stanley D at gmail.com. LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY D as in David at gmail.com. Let me do that again. Let's Talk with Stanley D at gmail.com. LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY D as in David at gmail.com. Shoot me a message, whether we're doing good, bad, indifferent. If you want to complain about something or you want to talk about something, you want to be on the podcast or you don't, regardless, just shoot me an email. Let me know how we're doing, and we'll continue to do everything we can to continue to empower people all over the world. All right. So today's podcast, now I can finally get into it. Today's podcast is simple: shifting from hopelessness to hopeful. Let me say that again: shift from hopelessness to hopeful. A lot of times, guys, I have been here and I'm looking at society as a whole. And I'm just looking at people just walking around almost as if they're zombies. Now, I'm not saying that they are a zombie. They're just kind of on automatic pilot. You know, I go get this breakfast sandwich in the morning. I park in the same spot. I go to break at the same time. I go to lunch in the same places with the same people. And it's kind of like blah, 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 blah. And then when you talk to them, it's like they have no hope at all. I mean, absolutely no hope at all. It's just like the bottom fell out and they have no hope. So many different excuses. Hope is one of those great cycles of life. That's all it is. It's just a cycle of life. Listen, you can find it, You hold on to it, you'll lose it, you try to grab it again, you want to build it, and you just continue to unfortunately repeat that. But that's where it's at if we're going to be honest with each other today, right? I also want you to think about this. If we hold any kind of value, I mean, any kind of value in hope, then we have also known an element of hopelessness. Regardless how much value you hold in hope, if you also understand or have experienced some level of hopelessness, right? So I want to kind of get into that and just share a few points, and then we'll get out of here. I really hope this helped, because I want people to begin to really shift out of hopelessness and into hope. We talk to people every day, all the time, about being hopeful and keeping hope alive and so many different things, but so many times that hopelessness sticks its little foot in, and it just turns everything upside down. So let me share you something about hopelessness. Now, this is not my quote. I can't remember where I actually got these quotes from, but it was so powerful. I just wanted to share it with you. So this is not my quote. So I don't want y'all to go around telling Stanley quoting other people, ain't giving credit. Yeah, I just don't know the name, but this is not my quote. All right. So let me share with you. Hopelessness is giving into a temporary belief that nothing will ever change. Let me read that again. Hopelessness is giving into a temporary belief that nothing will ever change. Hopelessness can feel like being stuck. How many times you say somebody tell you something, I just feel stuck? Think about that just in your everyday. How many times people will just, maybe it's at the coffee counter, or in a restaurant or wherever, and you'll hear people saying like, I feel stuck, I feel something. That's because they're in some phase of hopelessness, right? It can block energy, it can block growth, happiness, decisions. It can even block love. Think about that. You're talking about missing one, in my opinion, the greatest element, the greatest feeling, the greatest joy that's out there, which is love. You're talking about missing that because we're feeling hopeless. So we have to continue to remember that what hopelessness is all about. At its strongest, the feeling of hopelessness can be destructive of future potential, physical health, and overall life itself. It can sometimes stops us in our very own tracks. That's how powerful hopelessness can be. Hopelessness tends to feel heavy, while hope feels light. Listen, guys, I'm gonna be transparent today. Um, so there are times that I've had in my past, right, that I literally felt hopeless. I think in one of my previous podcasts, I shared some of my story about some things, but when I say I literally felt hopeless. So in my previous podcast, I forgot what podcast it was on, but I shared some things about the thought that crossed my mind in the act of what I began to thinking about taking my own life. And I forgot the colorful language or whatever. I'll say it in the other podcast, but I really was down that particular road. I mean, it was heavy. It was like you said, hopelessness tends to feel heavy. It was extremely heavy, right? Because I felt like I lost all hope. In that scenario, I had lost my cousin. I had was going through things on the job. I was dealing with a marriage that was already broken, and it just so many different things. And I felt every single place that I turned, I didn't have hope. So, like it just began to fall in me, and I began to physically live out some of the things you're just not supposed to live out. So it began to fall into a mental pattern and began to push me in certain places, right? And then it just started to feel the weight of heaviness that was really on me in and of itself. And that weight was unbearable. Here is the other thing that I did that I had with hopelessness. I never communicated, right? I just never talked to anybody. So I'm one of those people that, if I trust you, I trust you. I have to build that trust though. You can't just walk in the door saying, oh yeah, I'm such and such and I trust you infinitely. That doesn't work with me. Good, bad, or indifferent, it just doesn't work. So inside of that trust, I instead of me just reaching out to someone, or saying something because I was feeling so hopeless. I just didn't. And things began to build on top until I got to that point in my life. Now, grateful, I'm thankful that I didn't follow through on that. But I wonder how many people out there that literally went through that and actually followed through. I don't want anybody to ever have to go through being hopeless, right? Listen, if even right now, if you're feeling hopeless and you feel you have nothing or no one to turn to, just shoot an email to the actual podcast. We'll respond and do the things that we have to do to talk through it, to communicate with you, get you the proper assistance, and so many other things. Don't feel you're out there alone, because this weight is heavy. And then on top of that, another thing is why I didn't reach out is because of pride. I should do a podcast on pride, but it was because of pride. See, I didn't want people to think I was feeling a certain way. I wanted them to believe that everything was all right, that I was just smiling and I was happy. But inside, I was being torn apart. I mean, I was being torn apart, right? And I'm speaking and I'm sharing this because every day that I'm in a community, I'm driving down the street, I'm at a restaurant, the barber shop, or wherever in between. Think about this. I'm looking at people walking around in that space. You can see it on their aura, their skin, just everything, right? It begins to turn to particular colors and all of those things. Here is what I'm asking for. If you see someone in that space, talk to them, share with them, try to at least engage them that they know that they're not in this by themselves. Whenever I think I have no future, hopelessness literally swoops in and take over. So if you don't even think there's a future, they don't think something, you just, talk about it, something, but literally hopelessness swoops in and take over. When I can't see the way to the future, right? Think, let me be, we just talking today. So if you're in a space, right? And as you're growing through things, and let's say you need some financial relief, you've tried a loan, you've tried to ask people, you've tried to talk to people, you tried to do a business proposal or not, right? You even talk to the side man, the hustle man, everybody you could think about, and you just get to that point to where you don't see a future in what you're doing, right? And it just literally brings that whole hopelessness out. But here's what happened. As soon as someone says, oh, let me take a look, or let me get back with you tomorrow to see if I can do something to help or whatever, then hope brings and then begins to sprout out and grow. And you kind of like, whoo, I got some hope. Man, I pray this works out and we can do this and we can do that. It shifts that easily just to have hope. Literally that easy. So you are very important. You are very critical in this whole thing. When you're talking to somebody, share love and hope with them, right? Don't let them go down to hopelessness. If the bill is due and your friend is in need, and let's say you don't have the money, but don't go there and say, oh, well, I guess they're going to turn your lights off tomorrow. Yeah, no, we don't need you. Go somewhere else. Continue to hope. Continue to let them know that we're working towards that, or whatever language that you can to uplift them, because going into hopelessness, I'm telling you, it is not a good thing. It is not a good thing. But hope begins to sprout and grow when you begin to at least get a sliver of hope. It begins to open up things. See, when you begin to have that hope, the future the clearer the future becomes, the more hope you begin to feel. So even when that's in that scenario, somebody say, oh, let me check and I may have something to help you out with, you begin to clear up your future, because now you're thinking, oh, I can do this, I can do this, and I can do this, and now I can move forward. That's how hope begins to lift you. When I feel hopeless, I also feel restraint to trying anything to get myself out of this place. I want to do anything to get out of that place. It's a weight that you just don't want. So what can we do to make sure we're still doing that? Don't worry about trying to be shamed or angry or all of that's negative thoughts. It feeds into hopelessness. Listen, guys, I'm sharing this podcast today because I'm looking at people walk around. What I want to walk around, I should have finished my sentence, but walk around being hopeless, being in a fog. So, what I wanted to do is just do some and state some simple mental exercises that may be able to help you get out of that fog or at least begin to move in that direction, right? So, just I don't even remember how many it is, but just some of those exercises to help. We just want to help because this, my friends, have, in my opinion, have taken hold to the world as a whole. And people are just walking around hopeless, excuse me. But I want to share hopeful things with them. So, all right. So if you feel moments of hopelessness, now this is going into our mental exercises, right? Don't let hopelessness disempower you. Let me say that again. If you feel moments of hopelessness, don't let your hopelessness disempower you. You have the power to disemphasize. I don't want to say disemphasize. That don't sound right. Disempower, I think, is better. Disempower your hopelessness. So that's what I want us to do. I know it seems like a lot and it doesn't seem like I'm on my game. I'm actually am, but it's so much. And I don't want to go down the whole hopelessness negativity thing because it brings into some different things into the podcast. What I want to do is make sure we're staying light and on the hope side because hopelessness, I'm telling you, my friends, it brings in negative things. So let's go into the first one, right? Speak with your inner self. Speak with your inner self. Inside, sometimes we can be damaging our own self negative talk, negative self realization, talking about yourself in the negative, all of those things. Listen, stop doing that. Even if you have to talk to your inner self and say, self, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not talking to myself in a negative connotation. I'm not going there and saying, I'm a fool and I'm dumb and I'm crazy. And oh yeah, by the way, don't let anybody else project that onto you either. So we must stay in this vein, in this lane, and continue to push forward. So we're doing some great and wonderful things, right? So remember, speak with your inner self. Speak to it, kill any crazy thoughts, and uplift all positive thoughts. That's the one thing you help. All right. The next one is observe, identify, and communicate. This is important. First of all, if you feel yourself in this space, let's observe the behavior that's affecting you. Let's observe it. What is it? So we need to know what is it. Once we do that, then let's identify how you feel about the behavior. And you have to be true. You have to be truthful to yourself. Don't lie. Just be truthful. Don't try to fool yourself. Just be truthful. All right. It's going to help you in the in the long road. If you lie to yourself, it's going to be a problem. I'm just sharing with you. It is going to be a problem. So now, after you have observed it, after you've identified it, then let's communicate the needs. What's the needs you have? The value, desires that support the feelings, and then make a request to shift what you've observed. See, when you're making a request to yourself, if you see yourself driving down a certain street, and it brings hopelessness because you may think of stuff in the past, let's not go down that street. See, we began to look at it, we observed it, we identified it. Now we're communicating with ourselves. Hey, let's not make the right turn here. Let's go to a different street to make sure we feel in a certain space. It doesn't make sense to not communicate with yourself how it feels. Once you feel that way, then just make a simple request to yourself to shift in a different direction and move forward. So I think number 2 will help a lot because you're observing, you're trying to figure out what it is. Once you do that, then you identify it. And then after, then you communicate and then move forward with your request to shift. All right. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is all about shifting from hopelessness to hopeful. All right. So we want to make sure we're continuously doing that. Number 3, I think this is number 3. Stop digging a hole for hopelessness. Just stop digging. That's what it means. Stop digging a hole for hopelessness. Just stop. Don't do that. If I am telling you through words, behavior, and posture, I feel hopeless, then sooner or later, I'm telling you, then sooner or later, you will think of me as a hopeless person, and eventually you will, you would withdraw from me because of what you're giving off. If you're constantly saying just crazy stuff, you're giving out different things, right? So if you're constantly telling yourself negative words, giving negative behavior, giving negative posture, you're feeling a certain way, you're doing a certain thing, well, eventually those people around you going to say like, I'm not sure if I want to do that because the energy is wrong. The energy is wrong. What you're giving off, people don't want off. It comes off dark, it comes off heavy. And most people want to run to the lighter things and keep it simple and light. Well, we must do that, right? Once you do that, then we have to do something. In turn, I would feel abandoned and disappointed. It would justify and reinforce my hopelessness. The same applies to negative self-talk. Negative self-talk. Listen, there is something that I worked on for a very long time. I call it self-torture. Let me say that again. I've worked on this for a very long time. It's called self-torture. It is literally torturing yourself about things you can't even control anymore, right? Like, I wish I would have made the right turn here because I would have ran into the person that had the monies and I would not be struggling. And then you leave and you go home, or you get at home and you can't get in touch with them. Now you're saying, if I just would have turned here, and you're doing that all day, and every day you're just constantly beating yourself up and pulling yourself down and saying, I wish I would have done this and I should have done this, and I don't know why I didn't turn right. And all of those things feed into that hopelessness and that self-negative talk, or in my case, I like to call it self-torture, and those things. Get away from that. So when you're stop digging a hole and talking about those things, don't do that. Stop digging that hole. Move into a different area. Do something different, right? Let me see where I'm at. One other thing. If you hear people saying this, it's pointless, or it's hopeless, or something of that value, you know where they are. You can actually speak to them and lift them up. Even if they still may be giving themselves self-negative talk, you can still speak to them. Or as I like to say, love them out of hopelessness into hope. Please love them out of hopelessness into hope. There are people that's out there that we literally need other people to touch them. I may be able to talk to John, but if I want to talk to Jane, I might can't get to him. So it may have to be someone else that can literally talk to Jane to lift her up as well. I hope that makes sense, guys. This is how self-fulfilling prophecies are actually written. So as you speak in those things, and as you continue to display these different words and behaviors and postures, eventually you become a self-fulfilled prophet, and those things happen. I wonder if, instead of going in that negative side, you begin to share with yourself how wonderful you are. If you begin to share with yourself, no worries, I will connect with them later on. I wonder what would happen if you said, you know what, I am good. I'm not worrying about the negative talk, and you start beating that away and start pushing into those values of greatness, of genuineness, of purity, of love, all of that stuff. You going in that direction. I wonder how much of a self-prophet you would be then. It would be the same. You can't have a negative without a positive. So if you're doing this on the negative side, shift your mind just for a second. And then begin to build upon that from a second to a minute, from a minute to 5 minutes, and so on, until now you're shifting that thought process from negativity, and now you're speaking positively into people. Listen, when I came off the police department, at one point I was so negative, I was scared of my doggone self. I mean, I was negative about everything. It was always the negative side of something. Somebody gave you $1 million and $1 billion and $1 trillion, and I'm looking like, well, is it real? Are you sure? You sure this is not fair? I mean, I can go into overdrive with that, right? It is, I just don't understand why. But here's the thing. If we can speak negativity into fruition, we can speak greatness and hope and joy and all those things into fruition itself. But we must believe, right? So these mental exercises that we're talking about that we can do, we have to do it. Even when we don't know, it may sound silly or crazy or something like that, we can do it. We can push forward in that vein. We can push forward in doing what we do. It is a must, and we have to keep pushing forward in that light so we don't be a self-fulfilled prophet, if you will, on the negative side. Let's be a self-fulfilled prophet on the positive side, all right? Number, I don't even know what number I'm on now. The next one is avoid comparing. Stop comparing with people, please. Listen, comparing or the joy, or excuse me, or the thief of joy. When you compare with somebody, it's just stealing the other, it's just stealing joy. That's it. Because you may see something that that person have, and you're going to literally concentrate on that one thing. I wonder if we compare it to something else, or excuse me, we don't compare it at all. We give gratitude and share gratitude that that person is actually what would I call it? That person is actually in that space or have this, or their hair is more curly than yours, or whatever it may be, and just share gratitude with them instead of comparing your hair to my hair. Don't do that. I look at Instagram or Facebook or any of the social medias, TikTok or Twitter, and you're looking, some people may say, I have this or I have that. And then you look at this and be like, man, I wonder why I don't have a boat or a yacht, or I don't have this or I don't have that. Listen, it's fake. Stop comparing. Live your own life. These are mental exercises that can go back into that negative talk. Don't go down that road. So stop comparing how much this one or that one have, and just be grateful for what you have yourself. Just simply be grateful. Don't pass that. As a matter of fact, let me add this one to it as well. Draw a line in the sand and stick to it. If you say I'm not going to compare any longer, don't. Literally, truly, just don't compare. If you're talking about being in a space, you're going to do something and you want to get out of this hopelessness and you want to use these mental exercises, start today. Draw that line in the sand and say, I'm going to start today. It can be something very, very small. Hey, listen, I'm not going to go into self inflicting my own pain. And this is Mother's Day, and let's say you lost your mother 915 years ago. I'm sorry. My condolences. I'm praying for you. But let's draw a line in the sand and begin to look at the favorable memories of your mom. Look at the blessings of your mom. Look at the things she shared with you, and on and on and on. So let's make sure when we draw that line in the sand and we are there, that we're doing it, and then we're saying we're going to follow through with this as well. So as we're moving that, let's make sure we stay there and move that into fruition. All right. Don't draw a line in the sand where you just playing with it and then you cross it. Oh, I'm gonna draw another one. Don't do that. Draw a line in the sand and stick to it. So if you're gonna say I'm gonna be positive, let's be positive. Let me share something too. I don't want you to go there and think when you're sharing positivity or negativity comes up that you just going to be on high and you know how to defeat it and all of that stuff. Listen, it may be some days where it becomes very, very difficult, but because you have the tools now in your toolbox, you can do some different mental exercises to begin to push forward out of that space so you can eventually get back into being hopeful, right? So I don't want you to think it's a pie in the sky and it's like, oh, I'm good since I got this podcast, or I'm good since I was listening to this, that I'm good, I got the tools and I'm gonna move forward. No, these mental exercises are also to be used all the time. Continue to work on your mental exercises. Now, the next one is remembering your gratitude list. This is simply what I'm saying. You draw that line, but then start to remember some of the things that you're grateful for. Whether it doesn't matter how small it is or how large, you may be saying, I am grateful in my scenario with all that stuff I had going on. I just say, I'm just grateful I didn't pull a trigger. That's it. You didn't have to go any further. I'm just grateful I didn't have to pull the trigger. I am grateful that John came into my life, or my boo, or my wife, or my aunt, my uncle, my baby boo, my cousin, my whoever came into. Listen, that's your grateful list. I'm grateful that I'm able to walk upright. I'm grateful that I'm able to breathe. I'm great. Just show gratitude for the things that you have. I'm grateful that I had to go through this particular season in my life because it helped me grow in this area. I'm grateful that I don't have any money in my bank account, that I'm able to understand the value of money and the value of budgeting, the value of putting things in its proper order. I'm grateful that I'm able to exercise again. If you had a massive surgery, or if you had something happen to your legs, or and it caused you to walk in a certain light, now you can walk upright and say, I'm grateful that I can walk. I'm grateful that I can run. See, those are the things you just begin to move and speak on, these smaller things. And as you begin to speak on smaller things, other things will begin to open up even more and more and more. Listen, we understand that some negative things have happened to you in your life, but I'm grateful that I'm not there anymore. I'm grateful. I love the police department, but they had some negative things there. Now you can say, I'm grateful for the experience of being on the police department. I'm grateful for all of the people that I broke up with. I'm grateful for all the people that's now connected to me directly. I'm grateful for the people that I lost, the haters, the haterades, the ones that have lied, stole, cheat on me, all of those things. I'm grateful for them. Why? Because for me, it helped me understand the other side. So when I have a mentor walk into my life, I can understand and have gratitude towards that particular season or that particular life or that particular friend or that particular mentor. Why? Because I understood the negative side of it. But now I'm showing gratitude and saying, I'm thankful I have a mentor that I can share with, and he lifts me, and also share the things when I'm wrong and then also when I'm right. I have that gratitude to be able to coach and mentor other people. I'm grateful for them because it continues to make me sharp, right? Those are the things that we should be focusing on when we talk about our gratitude list. Don't get involved in negativity of what I call it, a negative list, right? But show that gratitude. Gratitude, something just sit in me when I just start to think about it. When you start thinking, in church, people say, when you think about the goodness of Jesus and all that he can do, I can dance, dance, dance all night, all of those things. That's great. And they're showing gratitude. But let me make this individualized, and let me talk to everybody specifically to them. Make it individualized. Don't talk about, I'm glad, my mom or my dad and this thing. No, make it individualized for yourself. Here's what I mean. If somebody else doing something, you're happy for them. Yes, absolutely be happy. But for you, I'm grateful that, Stanley Doucette is my friend. I am grateful that I'm a member of the Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette audience, and I'm a subscriber, right? I'm grateful that I'm able to breathe knowing all of the stuff I've been through with my nose. I'm grateful that I didn't pull that trigger. I'm grateful that I didn't get hit by that car. I'm grateful that I didn't get stuck by a needle on the police department or something. Listen, I'm grateful that in the shootouts that I didn't get shot or something like that. I'm grateful that when I fell, I didn't break my neck. I'm grateful. I can go on and on and on about the things that that I'm grateful for. What is it for you? How are you grateful? So when you're remembering your gratitude list, stay in that vein. Listen, just saying this, you can tell the energy shift from talking about hopelessness to now you're talking about being on the hope side and remembering your gratitude list. Again, this is life. I'm grateful that I can smile. Even though I went through a period of life, I was so stressed, I'm grateful that I can smile. I'm grateful that I can chew. And listen, I love it when we talk about gratitude, because even the small things and you show gratitude to it, there's other things that will come along with it, and it begins to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm not going to stay on gratitude and remembering your gratitude list for long, but I just want to share that. And the last thing I want to say is this one: journal. Write it down. Write down your hopes and your dreams. Just like write it down, jot it down. If you have like a little note section on your phone, put it in your phone, right? Just write some stuff down. Just journal about your hopes and dreams. Literally journal down. Let's let yourself dream. I'll say that. You know, there are some things that people talk about dream mode. I'm not going to go into that today on that, but just talking about dream mode, and then how you can literally put yourself into a zone about being in a space that is unbelievable. So let's just do this real quick. Let's say you like the islands, right? You like the beach. And let's just say you had a house on the beach. You had enough, sand, if you will, or enough beach. It's not a little small beach, but you walk out about, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 feet, maybe even 30 yards, right? And you have enough sand where you can walk into the water. It's absolutely crystal clear. Or you may have a bungalow on the actual water where it is for you, it's for yourself, and you're listening to the ocean at night and listening and feeling the breeze that's coming off the water, and you're seeing how the waves are beginning to move, and you can hear that sound. Everybody that's been to the beach know that ocean sound, and you can literally feel the sound in your soul, right? And you feeling this particular calming energy and all of those things. And you're beginning to just now dream for yourself. Just dream about, listen, we're there. You're there with your significant other. You're there with your husband or your wife. You're there with your love, or just say, my love. I'm there with you. All of those things, you're there with them, right? And you're at that calming and that peace and that tranquility. And you're feeling that. And then you have your own, I'll say, servers or butlers and food servants, right? And your chef, and they're cooking your favorite food. In the pantry, you have all your favorite desserts and snacks, and all of that is for you. You have a hot tub as well as an indoor pool, and you have the ocean just literally feet or yards away where you can just walk there. This is your own private beach and all of those things. So now you're starting to dream, right? You're starting to dream, and you're letting those dreams out. You can journal that. Dream for yourself. Bring hope. You may be saying, listen, I'm hoping to buy that house on the beach. I'm hoping to be in that space. All of that stuff you can dream about, staying in that hope, because the more you stress and trauma is experienced, it is more difficult to dream. Let's practice the opposite. Practice makes it easier to do and to access. So let's practice on dreaming. Let's practice on going into hope. Let's practice on staying onto that hope side and not onto negativity. Guys, listen, I want to do anything I can to help in this mental space where I'm seeing a lot of people do or just walk in hopelessness. These mental exercises will help you stay out of that space as much as possible. Yes, I understand it may kind of sit down on you for a second, but guess what? If you begin to practice these mental exercises, it's going to help you a tremendous amount. See, we're talking about shifting from hopelessness to hopeful. And in these exercises, I don't know why this gratitude thing just jumped on me, because a lot of people, I don't think is showing gratitude anymore. And then listen, to those individuals that are literally in that space of hopelessness right now, you are not alone. First of all, you are not by yourself, not at all. It doesn't matter what others may think. Don't try to compare or do any of those things. Let's talk specifically to you. First and foremost, call somebody right now and just let them know you're not up to speed right now. You're not good. See, I remember somebody said this, that somebody would say, hey, how you doing? And most people say, oh, I'm fine. It's kind of almost like a recording. How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. How are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. But I remember a friend of mine said, somebody asked that question, say, but what if you say, I'm not all right? I'm not okay. Then we have to move you from that hopelessness or not being okay, and then move you on to the place of hopeful and getting out of that negative space. Guys, if you're in that space, call somebody right now. Just simply let them know you're not good and allow them to help you move, whether it's getting a counselor, going to counseling, whatever it may be, to help you get to where you need to be. You're not here alone. Put the gun down, put the knife down, put the needles down, put all of that stuff down that you're pulling yourself down with, and begin to just share where you are. Let's begin to observe, identify, and communicate those things to people so we can help you. This is that important. It is truly that important. Hopelessness can hurt you, but we have hope. Hope is light. Hope will help you build yourself back up. There are people that will be there to help you every step of the way. We just need you to commit to hope or hopeful. Don't commit to anything else of negative. Commit to being hopeful and begin to fulfill your own prophecy and being hopeful. Allow that light to come in. Allow the darkness to flee and light to come in. You are incredible. You are great. You are powerful. You are special. You are one of a kind. You are made for a purpose. We need you with us today. Let's not forget our purpose and walk into the glorious light of what you are. See, we're not allowing hopelessness to steal you from us. And we want you to stay in hope where we are, where your love is, where your joy, and where your peace and where your comfort is. That's where you shall find it. But we have to first ask you, pick up the phone and call somebody. Let them know that you're not doing well today and let them help. Receive the help. Don't pull up your pride. Receive the help and let them know where you are and watch how you continue to walk. It is going to be great. Follow that process and watch how it begins to become magical, right? So in closing, guys, again, we're talking about shifting from hopelessness to hopeful. We gave a few numbers. Let me see if I can remember. Speak with your inner self. Observe, identify, communicate is the next one. Stop digging a hole of hopelessness. Number 5, avoid comparing. Stop comparing. Don't do that. Draw a line in the sand and follow through on what you say you're going to do. That's the next one. Then we have remember your gratitude list. And the last one, closing out, journal about it. Just write it down. It'll make you feel, I truly believe it'll make you feel better. So journal about it. Journal about your hopes and dreams, and all of that stuff will begin to manifest itself. So guys, listen, we closing out. So just remember those simple instructions. For people that need to contact the, I don't want to say the office, but let's just say the show. For people that want to contact the show and you really need somebody to talk to, contact me. Let's talk with StanleyD@gmail.com. And we can move you in whatever direction we need to move, whatever professionals we need to find, whatever people we need to find, however we can do to help. Make sure you're staying into that helpful. We want to do just that. So go to Let's Talk with StanleyD@gmail.com. LETSSTAN. I'm sorry, I'm giving you my whole wrong thing. Let me do that again. Let's talk with StanleyD@gmail.com. LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY D as in David @gmail.com. As you guys can see, this is not a recording. This is actual live. You know, I could smooth all of this out, but I want to be live with you to share. Hit me up specifically, directly. Listen, we want to help, and we want to help you get over whatever this hump is so you can continue to uplift other people all around this wonderful, wonderful world. All right. So go to Let's Talk with StanleyD@gmail.com. If you want to shoot something or you just want to type it out and say how you're feeling, regardless, we're going to respond. All right. Thank you for our sponsor on today, hotshotmall.com. Listen, go to hotshotmall.com. Go to the trendy section. Go to the trendy section. Look at some of our products, some of our reviews. It is absolutely amazing about what's going on there. So hotshotmall.com, it is fabulous. They are wonderful people. They're sponsoring our show today. So I thank you and I thank them. So listen, we're about to get on out of here. Go to and follow us on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course our YouTube channel. Please go there and you'll see how much fun we actually have. So with that being said, we're about to go to and take it on out of here. Let's get on back to these streets, not the streets, but I'm gonna say the streets. Let's get on back to these streets and have some fun. I love you guys. And remember, if you need to just talk to somebody and you feel you don't have somebody to talk to, just hit the show up on Let's Talk with Stanley D at gmail.com, LETSTALKWITHSTANLEY D as in David at gmail.com, and we'll get you the appropriate places and make sure all is well. All right. So with that being said, I love you guys. I love you. Thank you, family, for hanging in there with me. We'll be back next week with another powerful podcast of Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. Love y'all. See y'all on the beaches of the world. Peace.